Hello there again. Good to see you. Glad we're hanging in there and keeping going and persevering. I realise lockdown's not really quite the novel, strange experience it is now. Now it's just a pain in the neck and it's a grind and it's tough and it's challenging. And as much as it may sound stupid to you, I was reflecting on yesterday's thought for the day. I know I was the one that did the thought for the day, but I was thinking about it when I heard the news. I was listening to Radio 4, and you know how the news media have got this real problem. There's really only one topic, and so you can't keep on doing the same topic in the same way. So you have to come up with novel approaches to talking about the coronavirus. Um, and so what they were saying was there are people, scientists, whose job it is to basically measure and gauge the frequency of earthquakes, seismologists. Um, and what they're recognizing is there's a reduction in earthquakes. And as the commentator on the radio program said, this coronavirus is obviously more powerful than we thought. And what the seismologist was saying, it's not the coronavirus, not directly. What he said was, what she said was, the coronavirus is keeping everybody indoors, and as a consequence, you don't have lorries on motorways. You don't have people's striding, walking on pavements. You don't have planes landing on airstrips. Everything that actually makes an impact on the ground sends a sound wave into the ground, and the ground actually responds to that. The tectonic plates underneath are reacting to human activity, and because there's less human activity, there's less seismic activity in response to it. Um, it is it was just this thought that for the earth there's actually a lot of positives that are coming from the coronavirus. The economic downturn in China is so significant that they can measure the reduction in the pollution, because the pollution, it's not as if it's all gone, but it's substantially reduced. And as a consequence, you find that there is nature itself is responding in a positive way to the absence of human beings. Apparently, they noted this kangaroo that was bouncing its way through Sydney because there was no traffic. One of the things that is most stark about this particular coronavirus is, especially if you're in, I suppose you're not supposed to be in up the Highlands or anywhere, but you react to the nature around us is reacting to the slowdown in human activity. And I think it was 2 nights ago, it might have been 3 nights ago, I heard an owl, and I heard the response, which was much, much further away, and which I think I don't normally hear because it's normally too noisy. Or I think, probably more importantly, my ears are not tuned in to the silence as it is now. Back to this recurring theme that has been through various of these thoughts for the day: not to waste a good crisis, which is an incredibly kind of crass way of putting it. But as I said, the minister was talking to individual ministers about when things go wrong in a church, when there's a crisis. don't lose the opportunity to learn what you can only learn when you're in a crisis. What is it we're supposed to get from the coronavirus? Hopefully not infected. What is it we're supposed to get from all these lockdown arrangements? One of the things that we have lost in our culture is the ability to be silent and to hear silence, as silly as that might appear to be. To actually quieten our soul. So, while I'm not exactly quoting any nuns today or any convent dwellers, it did take me back from the absence of earthquakes and to birds appearing to be more noisy than normal. It took me back to this particular piece of poetry. This is a very famous psalm, Psalm 46. And I'm reading from verse 6 to verse 11. Nations are in uproar. Well, that's the bit certainly applies. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations he has brought on the earth. Yeah. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. And then, in the absence of the conflict, when war is over, you get verses 10 and 11. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. By the numbers of people watching Thoughts for the Day and the Sunday morning service, it seems reasonable to assume that it's primarily folks who go to Flemington Hall side. There might be one or two other folks. But it just struck me, if there are people who are just looking for some Church of Scotland input while they're bored, furloughed, made unemployed, where people might actually be reflecting and thinking about how to cope with things just being so slow, so quiet, silent. Silence is often seen in Scripture as a pathway to getting to know God better. It's not necessarily been by choice, obviously. But if you're thinking, let's make sure that we don't let a good crisis go to waste, what is it we're supposed to learn at this point, because we don't learn it at any other time? Maybe we need to learn that enforced learning. Be still and know that I am God. What do you have to learn, especially if you're an extrovert, if you're somebody who's very rarely ever going to be in a time of silence? Because if you're in the room, there's usually something going on. There's usually somebody speaking. There's usually some conversation. It's especially the people who need to learn from silence, precisely because they don't experience it that much. Read from Psalm 46. This is Psalm 62. Just one verse, verse 5. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. If you've never really thought about God that much, but you are at this point twiddling your thumbs, it's enforced upon you. You don't want to be, but it's just who you are. Then maybe you need to learn from the silence, to feel the silence, to embrace the silence, and recognize in it it is for a lot of people the very place where you find the presence of God. And you might cause less earthquakes as well. So it's all to the good. Hope you have a nice, quiet day, and I hope God comes closer. Most importantly of all, please go with God, because I know He goes with you, even if it doesn't feel like it. See you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.